Massey Show. And here's your host, Chris Massey.
It's a weekend night. I'm doing what I always do. Yeah, turn side to side, you're driving me out of my mind.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Massey and welcome to the Chris Massey Music Show here on the American Hearts Radio Network. We're coming to you live tonight from our studio here in downtown Atlanta, and tonight is episode 9 of season 3 and the 47th episode of the Chris Massey Music Show. We are glad you are all tuning in this evening. I'm joined as always by my engineer, Mr. Al Burroughs, and Al's going to be joining me later on the show tonight. Al, how's it going?
Good, good.
So the SOS Band, you guys had a show in Atlanta.
Yes, yes.
So how did that go?
It looked like it was sold out. It was great.
Yeah?
It was great. Great.
Okay, you didn't have to travel far, got to sleep in your bed that night,
Yep.
got paid.
They give us hotel rooms anyway.
Give you hotel rooms anyway.
Yeah, I was at the airport, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but I went home.
Very good. Yeah, you don't need to call your wife and say I'm staying in a hotel in town.
After a show.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. That doesn't sound good at all.
No, that's not a good move.
Yeah, that's like me. I'm playing in Milledgeville Saturday night at a bar called Cowboys, and that's about 100 miles from Atlanta. And if I called my wife and told her I was staying in a hotel, she'd say, "The hell you are? Get your ass home." That's right. That's right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Not a good look.
Can you believe, Al, that we only have one more show before the election?
Really?
That's right. We have the show in October 22nd, I believe it is, when our guest will be Kevin Jennings from the Western Sizzlers. And I saw on Facebook this past weekend that Kevin was the road manager for the Georgia Satellites. Okay. And the Georgia Satellites were real good friends with Robin Zander from Cheap Trick. So Cheap Trick was at Chastain Park, and Robin Zander went backstage and pulled Kevin out on stage with him to sing backups on Surrender at Chastain Park. So Kevin's going to be here next month. And we've got a big gig, the CMB, with Kevin Jennings and the Western Sizzlers at the Star Bar on November the 5th. But yeah, we got the show in October, and then we'll have the show in November. And when we get here for the show in November, we will have a new president. A new president. And, and what is going to happen in that election is anybody's guess right now, except I'm still standing by that the way the Electoral College is going to lay out, that Hillary is going to win. And I think that next Monday night, the debate is going to be a key, very key event in this election. You know, Jimmy Carter was running neck and neck with Ronald Reagan to the debates.
Okay.
Yeah, he was right there with him. And one of the most famous lines is Jimmy said something and Ronald said, "Well, Mr. Carter, there you go again." And that was something that is always remembered. And he pretty much put him in his place. And then we know the rest is history. He won in a historic landslide. I think that Jimmy Carter only won Georgia. It was the only state that he won in that election. Now, I do think that this election is going to be somewhat closer, but it's going to be interesting to see what Donald brings to the table in this debate. He's already made comments like what we need to do is have no moderators. It's not fair. It's going to be rigged. Now this to me sounds like a person who is already making excuses for losing. Because if he was confident, he would be saying things like, well, I don't really think it matters who the moderators are, or we're going to come in there, we're going to talk about the issues, and we're going to show the American people why we're going to be able to defeat Hillary Clinton. Now, right there, I just gave you 40 seconds of me being presidential, and that is more than Donald Trump has given you in a year and a half. Okay? Now, he is just incapable of saying anything like that. The other day, in front of a rally, here's what he said. He said, first off, he keeps saying that Hillary wants to do away with the Second Amendment. Al, does Hillary want to do away with the Second Amendment?
Not that I know of.
I have never heard her say she wants to do away with the Second Amendment. She wants background checks for guns. Now, most Republicans will tell you, well, that's just the beginning. Well, you know, it's not just the beginning. That's just an excuse for the NRA to keep pumping money into Washington and make guns available for everybody, which we know is not a good thing. A lot of people do not need to own guns in America. So anyway, he said, what I think needs to happen is that we just need to get the Secret Service to take away all their guns and see what happens to Hillary. Now, you could say, now, you know, of course, Mike Pence, he's always having to clean up after Donald Trump. He walks around with a poop bag and a shovel behind him, you know. And he was trying to say that it didn't mean this and it didn't mean that, and it may not have, but it still sounded bad. It sounded like what he's saying is look, we're going to take away the guns from Hillary and somebody shoot her. You know, I mean, that's what it sounds like. You know, and, you know, his poor campaign manager, and I got to hand it to the woman. You know the woman's name, the blonde-headed lady that's taking over his campaign.
Oh, Kellyanne.
Yes, she has done a tremendous job trying to reshape and reform and create a new image for this guy. But you know, it is to no avail. And unfortunately, she's not going to be able to get out there on the debate stage with him next Monday night. And it's going to be very interesting to see which Donald Trump shows up. Is he going to make himself look presidential, or is he going to make Hillary look presidential? Because one of the two is going to happen. Here's what I know is this. Hillary is going to take the high road. She is going to stick to the issues. And, you know, and if there's nothing that makes a bully matter than hell is when you're dishing it out and the other person is not dishing it back. You know, because that's what he's all about, is he's going to say something and try to cause a reaction, and she's not going to give him a reaction. So it'll be interesting to see what goes down with that. Now,
and she's a woman, which is going to make it.
And she is a woman, and that is right, and that's what a lot of people forget. You know, because let's face it, Hillary is not liked at all in this country by a lot of people. And there are a lot of people that are going to vote for her that really don't care, that really do not care for her. But she is a woman, and she is running for president. The first time a woman has ran for president. Now I've got to ask you, Al. They were talking about you know, this birth certificate thing. You know, and this has been going on for years and years and years. And this is really when Donald Trump came on the political scene. You know, and you can really say that his run for president started years ago when he brought up the fact that Barack Obama may not be an American citizen. Now, you know, and it's nonsense, but I've never really heard it put like this, but there is a lady, and I apologize, I do not know her name. She's on MSNBC a lot. African-American lady with short hair, very bright, and a very good announcer. Anyway, she said that what this was a trying to humiliate the very first African-American president. Now, I've never thought of it like that, but apparently her and a lot of other African-American people take that this way. Now, is that the way you took it? That he was trying to humiliate the first African-American president by saying that he wasn't even supposed to run?
I just think it's wrong on so many fronts. And I think that's the problem. It's not just one front.
Right.
It's a whole lot of different fronts.
That's right.
It's just wrong.
That's right.
I mean, you know, when's the last time, before that, when was the last time you heard somebody, okay, yeah, maybe, you know, this person wasn't born in this country and blah, blah, blah. I heard that they had, you know, but it wasn't drawn on for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It wasn't drawn on that long.
And he just put it to rest last week.
That's my whole point.
He just put it to rest last week.
So I mean,
you know, and there's so many people that are misinformed about you know, so many people are misinformed about the transition from George W. Bush to Barack Obama. As many of you know, I own a construction business, and I do work with a lot of people that build a lot of high-end homes. And I was doing a copper gutter job for this gentleman on a huge house out in Buckhead. It was about a $5 million home, and the gutters alone on the house for like $30,000. And anyway, the builder tells me, he looks me in the eye and he says, he goes, you know, we were rolling right along, we were building houses right and left, making money hand over fist, and then Obama got elected and it all went to shit. And I looked at and I just looked at him, and I thought it was a joke. And I'm thinking to myself, you do realize that the housing market crash happened before Barack Obama was president. You know, and that is a part of this election that is not getting talked about much, and that is this, because I can tell you from my perspective, I remember what happened the last time we had a Republican president. Now, you people want to keep talking about Obama, but let me remind you what happened the last time we had a Republican president. Well, first off, we were attacked. Okay, the towers were attacked. Number two, we had the highest gas prices in American history. We have not come close to $4 a gallon since Barack Obama has been in office. Right now, we have a pipeline down in Alabama, and prices at the most expensive gas I've seen is about $3. So it makes no sense, other than the fact that you want to tie in the fact that George W. Bush was in the oil business and received a lot of campaign donations from oil companies. That may have something to do with it. I don't know. I'm just saying. The last year he was in office, the stock market fell 10,000 points. 10,000 points. The last 6 months he was in office, we lost 3 million jobs. That is 500,000 jobs a month, over 100,000 jobs a week. Yeah, over 100,000 jobs a week. You know, you go to work on Monday, you get off on Friday, and 100,000 people have lost their job. Okay? People's home values plummeted to 50% of their value. Okay? People saw their 401ks disappear, their pensions disappear. The man left office with a 22% approval rating. Now, let me tell you something. There are not enough disgruntled Democrats in this country to give you a 22% disapproval rating. Some of those people had to be Republicans. Am I right? That's right. So come on. Come on. And then I see on Facebook pictures of George Bush and people saying, do you miss me yet? Yeah, you know, like the flu. You know, God almighty, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So a lot of people have that in the back of their mind, you know, and for all you can say about Obama and this and that and this and that, you know, he's been in there 8 years. And let me tell you what has not happened his last year in office. The stock market hadn't fell 10,000 points. In fact, it's up around 18,000, which is the highest it's ever been. Okay? People's home values have come back. And we haven't lost any jobs in a month in years. I mean, we have been adding jobs, okay? So for you to sit there and tell me that we're worse off than we were 8 years ago, you know, all I can tell you this is that my house is worth $100,000 more now than it was when George W. Bush left office. So excuse me for being selfish, but I can only tell you from my perspective, you know. So anyway, all right, let's take a look at the local teams and how they did this past week. Our Atlanta Falcons went out to the West Coast and defeated the Oakland Raiders 35-28. And yes, I have got egg on my face because I said on Dennis Aloia's show that they would lose. In fact, I took the Raiders spotting the Falcons 5 points and lost that bet. Matt Ryan played splendidly, except for one interception in the red zone. And this Monday night, the night of the debates, the Falcons will go to New Orleans to face the Saints in New Orleans, and this will be the 10th anniversary of Katrina. You know, the Falcons had to play the first game in the Superdome after Katrina. And there was no way you're winning that game. No. It ain't going to happen, and they got the hell beat out of them. Michael Vick was quarterback, and it's going to be tough for them to win this week, too. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are now quietly 3-0. They have defeated Boston College. They've defeated Mercer University, and SEC they had an SEC opponent this past Saturday, although it was Vanderbilt, but they are an SEC team. They came into Grant Field, and the Jackets put it on them, winning 38-7. 38-7. So the Yellow Jackets are 3-0, and this Thursday night, the mighty Clemson Tigers come to Grant Field. So you Yellow Jacket fans, we're going to find out what you guys have got this Thursday night. Saturday night, the Georgia Bulldogs went on the road with their very first SEC game against the Missouri Tigers in Missouri, and they won the game 28-27. Freshman quarterback Jacob Eason leading the team down the field and scoring the winning touchdown with just a little over a minute to go. Missouri got the ball. All they had to do was kick a field goal to win, but on the first pass, defensive back for Georgia stripped the ball. Georgia recovered the ball and won the game. So the Bulldogs are 3-0, and they will play in Oxford, Mississippi this Saturday against the Ole Miss Rebels, who have played the Alabama Crimson Tide about as tough as you can play them, but were defeated. So Georgia also going to find out what they got. And this was a weekend where the Falcons, Georgia Tech, and the Georgia Bulldogs all three won.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you that I have been a football fan since 1970, and that does not happen often.
No.
In fact, I'm going to look it up and find out exactly how many times it happened. And people say, well, it must happen 3-4 times a year. Well, that's just not true. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of years in the 70s where the Falcons only won 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So it could have only happened 3 times.
Yeah.
And the odds of all them winning on those 3, there are years that Georgia Tech has won 1 game, 2 games, or no games.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a lot less than you would think. In the 50 years that it's happened, I'm going to say it's happened less than 50 times.
Oh. Yeah.
That would be 1 a year.
That'd be a good game. Yeah.
That would be 1 time a year, and I'm going to say it's happened less than 50,
Yeah.
which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe that's the case. All right, Mr. Al Burroughs is going to join me tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about what he does when he's not here, and the big 50th show of the Chris Massey Music Show coming up in December. We're going to be talking about that as well. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, I'm Leon Smoker.
And I'm Rachel Jordan.
And I'm Moses Moe from Mother's Finest.
And you're watching the Chris Massey Music Show.
Hey man, you remember that time when you guys opened for Aerosmith? I do.
Man, that was awesome. All right, we're back, and everybody, this is Al Burroughs. Mr. Al, good to see you. Al is the engineer and sound guy. And lots of nights here in the studio, it's just me and Al. We have had a lot of people in here before when we're doing the show. So what I can tell you is that for all 47 shows of the Chris Massey Music Show, there's been one common denominator, and that is that Al and I have been here.
Exactly.
Have been here. Now, Al, you do a lot of different things, but one of your main gigs, other than what you do to put bread on the table, is you run sound for the SOS band.
Yes.
Who had a huge hit in the 1980s. What was that song again?
Take your time, do it right.
Take your time,
Right,
do it right.
right.
And it was just
Yeah.
played on the radio somewhere on this planet every day.
Oh, yeah.
Many times.
Yeah, many times.
Many
Yeah.
times many times a day.
Yeah.
So tell me.
They've got about, I think they have 1 platinum and then maybe 3 or 4 gold records. So,
Okay.
I mean, they've got quite a few hits out.
So they're at the stage, they're older guys now. And what these...
Mary just turned 73.
Yeah, and these guys are a little like my friends in the Georgia Satellites. Georgia Satellites had a big hit, and they're kind of weekend warriors, and they go places and play. They fly out to these gigs that they do, and it's all paid for. I know the Satellites just did a show with ZZ Top.
Wow, nice.
Up in South Carolina not too
Nice.
long ago.
Man.
Big show. And they play some smaller venues too. But SOS kind of the same deal, kind of a weekend warrior band, and they get paid well for what they do, and you guys get taken care of, I imagine, just like it
Airfare,
was back in the
hotel,
80s,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Only difference is that on Monday y'all are all doing something else. You're not rolling to another city.
Right.
You got like a 4 or 5 day layover in between gigs.
Right.
So.
It's great. It's great. I mean, for me, it's been great because it allows me to double dip.
Sure.
I mean, I can work a job during the week and then work on the weekends, and then it's been great.
Okay. So when you get to town, so let's say you guys let's say you guys are playing in Dallas. Okay. Now, do you guys usually get there the day of the show or the day before?
We get there the day of.
Day of the show, probably.
And,
mid afternoon.
Most of the time, even like in Atlanta, we just did the date here at Wolf Creek in Atlanta this past Saturday night.
Right.
Okay. So I head to the venue I think I headed to the venue around 9 o'clock that morning.
Now, let me ask. Do you check into the hotel first, or do you go straight to the venue?
Well, it depends. If the hotel was sold out the night before, sometimes we don't get our rooms until 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay, so we had hotels on this gig, and that didn't happen until about 3 o'clock.
Now, you're the sound guy.
Yeah.
Now, so when you get to the gig...
And there's 2 of us.
Okay. Now, when you get to the gig, so one guy's running sound, another guy running monitors. Is that pretty much the way it is? Okay. Now, when you get to the gig, is the board all set?
No.
There's nothing to set up.
We're hooking up, wiring up, setting up.
So you're doing all that?
We're doing it because, for some reason, we haven't really figured it out yet. It just doesn't get done, you know.
Okay.
And if I don't know. I mean,
well, you got to have roadies that know what the hell they're doing.
That's probably what it is. If we had a crew of roadies that were setting our stuff up.
Let's face it. The sound is maybe the most important element of the show, other than the performance itself.
I could easily,
and the performance can't pull off. No matter how good a performance is, if the sound ain't right, it's not going to work.
I could easily sit back and fold my arms and say, okay, when y'all get everything set up and hooked up, call me.
Okay.
But it would be showtime before they finish.
Okay.
So that's why we just go in and just hook it up. So, you know, because the thing is that, and I tell the band, I tell everybody, the most important people on the gig is the audience.
That's right.
They have got to get what they paid for.
That's right.
And that's my number one concern. I don't care about anybody else. And then I don't get any pushback. But it's like, hey, the people who are paying $30, $35, $40 to come see a show, no, you make sure that they get their money's worth. And that's what I do.
Okay, so let's say you're playing now, do you guys carry the gear on the road, or do you rent gear in each town you go to? The promoter supplies the sound.
Yes, provides the backline. Yes.
Provides the backline. Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you get there, is that already in place most of the time?
Sometimes, very rarely though. Okay. Most time it's still in the boxes, flight cases.
If you're playing a 10,000 seat auditorium, how long does it take to set the sound up?
That depends also, because generally, if you're either headlining or close to headlining, what winds up happening is that you're the ones who is hooking up the drums and everything.
If you're headlining,
or even if because headliners, they have their setup, and then you might set up in front of them, which is basically a totally different setup.
Right.
And a lot of times you wind up with what we call gremlins in the system. So you got this wire's not working, that wire's not working, some problem here, problem there, and that eats up a lot of time.
Sure.
So you can have on our rider, it says that we should have an hour for the techs and an hour for the band. We've had 5-hour sound checks because they just didn't have their act together.
So if you're the opening act, the headliner comes in, they get it all hooked up, they do their sound check, and then you just come in at the board and you're ready to go after that.
Well, no. Again, we have to set our stuff up. And it layers forward. So you have the headliner in the back. They sound check first. Then you set the third act in front of them.
But as far as hooking all the gear up, they've already taken care of that.
No.
Right? Really?
No.
Wow. Now,
because everybody has their own equipment. So they literally are setting up different stages every time.
Right. But I mean, but the mics they're using on the drums are the same mics they're going to use on your drums. Oh, they use separate.
Yeah,
okay.
Totally
it's not like in a
separate,
club where everything just transfers. All right. Now, so... I know you guys played 10, 12,000 seat places before, 20,000.
Yeah. I was just looking at some.
So you ever been running sound in one of these big places like this, in the middle of the show, the monitors quit working?
I've had. I feel sorry for our monitor guy sometimes because he
is the most unpopular guy at the gig.
Well,
because I know, because I'm singing and it's never loud enough.
Well, the thing is that, they've got these digital boards now. Back in the day, you had the analog desk where, you have to, basically, for sound check, you're basically just trying to get a feel because, other acts are going to come on, they're going to change everything, and so you're going to have to kind of get it back quickly, okay?
Right.
Well, with the digital boards, you set everything up, and then you hit save, right? Well, a lot of times, you hit save, and then the act behind you that's coming up next, they will sound check, and they'll mess around and hit save right over the top of your setup. So now when you come back, you're thinking that it's set up for you, and it's totally wrong. And all of a sudden you got feedback everywhere. It's madness. So it's not as simple as it should be, But a good crew, good production crew who knows what they're doing, they can make it a lot easier.
And I know the sound guys. Now I've got Jimmy James and Tom Delatorre. They run sound for me all the time. And
I've been trying to get that.
And I always try to acknowledge them on stage when I can. Sometimes I forget. But regardless, when the show's over, I always thank them. These guys in SOS pretty appreciative of what you guys do.
Oh yeah. I mean, it took a minute. I don't think I've been with them 14 years now. I came in 2002, and I don't think that was that way at first. But I don't think they'd had any good sound guys.
Right.
That were like really, really good.
Well, I'm not saying
I'm really good.
Well, you must be good if they've kept you around for 14 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And what happens is that when I didn't mean to say that they didn't have good sound guys. I'm saying that I try to go above and beyond.
Right.
And so what happens is that changed the game. So now they see somebody who's going above and beyond and blah 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 blah. It changes how they look at the sound guys and the tech guys. And my whole thing was, look, and I tell any band, look, just your sound guy, what happens with these fingers is what these fingers and what they do is between what you're doing on stage and your audience, and it's critical. It's probably, as far as I'm concerned, probably the most critical thing outside of the songs. Probably the most critical thing you got happening.
Well, when you got guys that don't know what they're doing, I know one night I played
it crucifies you.
One night I played this club, and we're getting up there, and I tell them, I say, look, I can't. I need you to put the background vocals in my monitor. And he was like, well, or I said, well, how come you don't have any background vocals in my monitor? And he said, well, you didn't tell me you wanted any. And I was like,
it's his job to ask.
That's like me going to McDonald's and ordering a hamburger and they don't put any meat on the bun. And I say, well, you didn't tell me to.
I did bring some pictures, though.
How am I going to harmonize with
exactly.
How's this guy if we can't hear each other?
Yeah.
And
you're exactly right.
And just
you're exactly right.
Like that.
But I did bring some pictures.
Let's take a look at it.
Okay, all right. This is actually from 1993, before I got hooked up with the SOS band. This was a recording studio that I had back in the day. Okay. And, this was kind of like one of the central studios in Atlanta. It was just... everybody was coming through there. It was a little house on Claremont Road. This was up in the attic, and it was just, thousands.
1993. Were you still
92, 91.
Were you still using tape then?
Yes, I have a 16-track and a 4-track and a 2-track in there. And then I think this was one of my first gigs. This was in Chicago. Okay, at Chicago Theater. Okay, and this was one of my first gigs. And then also, this is actually one of the gigs that we did over in Europe. And basically, you don't see a whole lot. There's a whole lot of people wrapped around, but that one person standing in the middle, that's me. And that's what I do. So, it's like I said, it's a really good gig. I love it, and it definitely keeps me busy.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be coming up here, Al, in December. We've got a show, of course, in October, one in November, but in December, the Christmas show here will be the 50th episode of the Chris Massey Music Show.
What is that? Like 50 is like what? You got 25 is gold, 50 is what?
Oh, I don't know.
50 is diamond or something like that? I don't know.
It's too much. That's
a lot of shows, man.
But when we had a year where we did the first year we started off at one a month, and then we doubled up toward the end. We did 16 shows. Yeah. And in the second year, we pretty much doubled almost the whole year. We did 22 shows. That was 38 shows. And now we're doing 12 shows this year. So December will be the 50th show.
This guy is I got to tell you, this is one of the most enjoyable things that I do is working with Chris, because he's just, people have no idea how bright this guy is. Really.
You hear that, honey? You hear that?
Really, they really don't know, because what you hear is what you see on the screen. But a lot of times when he's talking, he has no paperwork in front of him. He just off the cuff, and I got nothing but praise for you, man. Do your thing.
Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed doing the show. And when I was first approached about it, it was one of those things that and in the entertainment business, you go through a lot of things where you get the opportunity to do something, and you're kind of like, well, okay, but I have to say that this particular gig right here, right off the bat, I thought I'd be pretty good at it. I said this is something
he's got
that I think I can do.
Yeah.
And I've never really been nervous to come in here and do it.
No, he will.
Because I've been playing music a lot longer than I've been doing this, and some nights when we get some big shows, you take a little deep breath, little extra, before you walk out there and check stuff. But this is a pretty natural thing. Now I'm going to take you back now, Al, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to show a lot of clips on the 50th show, and that show is going to be an hour of what we did. But the very first show we did, I had and you didn't know me from Adam.
Okay.
That was a show where I had Johnny Scales on, and at the end of that show, we poured some glasses of what was supposed to have been bourbon.
Okay.
And I drank it, and I drank the whole thing down, and I passed out on the table. And then Rachel came in here and shook me and threw water on my face. And I got water on your green screen.
The brand new green screen, right?
So
brand new paint, the whole package.
So that was.
I was like, okay.
That was a show that was the first one, of course, and I remember that. And
it's gonna be wild and woolly.
And then we had done a few shows, and I think when I really kind of caught your attention a little bit, or when we started to click, was the night when I came in here and I did the monologue on the word shit.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
And
it's a classic. I mean, this guy's like Jon Stewart. I mean, you just don't fill that seat. I mean.
So we did, and we're going to show that hopefully on the 50th show.
That's a classic.
And then of course Leon Smoker.
Yeah.
All those skits we did with my daughter. And Rachel told to tell you hi.
Okay.
Rachel is up in Minneapolis and doing very well. Of course, it hadn't snowed up there yet, but she's loving life up there in the Great White North. We did a skit called Coffee Crank.
Oh yeah.
The Coffee Crank skit, which is one of my favorites, and I like to, and the dialogue in that is a little dicey, especially for my sweet daughter. Some of the things she had to say, and I really had to work with her. She was like, "Dad," I said, "Look, you're playing a character, it's no big deal." But man, she really pulled it off, and we shot that live. We shot that live in here.
Go check some of the early shows out. It was really fun.
And we had a lot of different characters, and we've had. We've had Rick Richards from the Georgia Satellites.
Great guest.
We've had Glenn Phillips from the Hampton Grease Band, Colonel Bruce Hampton from the movie Sling Blade, Moses Moe from Mother's Finest. Tom,
that was a highlight for me.
Yeah.
You talk about live albums. That one
Absolutely.
Right there, I probably listened to it 10,000 times.
Tom Gray from Delta Moon was here on the show. We had, what's that, that really fine-looking African-American lady comedian, Mia.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's her name?
Yeah. I can't
the comedian, Mia
yeah.
Rushing, is that her name?
I can't remember.
I can't think of what it is, but honey, you know who you are. We had her on here, and that was just a blast. I saw her at the Laughing Skull and had her on. And every guest we've had has been great, and we've had a lot of them. When we first started the show, we were doing three guests, and then two, and now basically we do one, and we try to do some skits and stuff. But I got to tell you that next year I'm going to have to do some things different in here to up the game.
Okay.
Because I think I still like what we do, but it's gotten kind of stale.
Well, you should always want to move forward.
So so I'm thinking next year I want to do a whole new intro, everything, backdrop. The whole deal, have a new lineup and stuff, and I'm going to put a lot of thought into it, because what happens is that I have a very busy life. I run a gutter business. The Chris Massey Band, we do about 30 shows a year. I'm married, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and lots of times I'll be, oh no, I got a show. I got a show.
By the way,
I've got a show to do, what I'm going to tell our fans out there is that next year I'm going to put a lot more effort into preparation and continue to get some good guests, because there are a lot of good people out there in the music business that we have not gotten on the show yet, and I feel like that we can get them on here. Peter Stroud is a local guy. He's played lead guitar for Sheryl Crow for 16 years. Did a tour with Don Henley.
Okay.
Michelle Malone, who is a legend in this town, and I have tried to get Michelle on here. I don't know if she'll be interested in coming on, but she is actually playing at Lakewood at the Greg Allman Laid Back Festival with Greg Allman, Mother's Finest, Blackberry Smoke, ZZ Top, and Michelle Malone.
That's a big gig.
Big gig. She'll be playing at that, and there are a lot of other guests that we want to get on here. We're going to branch out a little bit and maybe get some more actors and comedians and and that type of thing on here. Yeah. But basically, as long as Al's here,
hey,
I'm going to be here. So
make it happen.
So anyway, we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back.
Whoa! You shook the table. You shook the table, man. My little mouth.
Serving Atlanta since 1998, Massey Gutters understands the challenges specific to our area. Massey Gutters is familiar with all aspects of gutters and roofing. We use only the highest quality materials. With our fully trained and professional staff, you are guaranteed to get quality service and work. References available upon request. Call us today for a free estimate, 404-314-6800. Again, that's 404-314-6800. Call Massey Gutters today. 404-314-6800.
All right, we're back. We're back. So we will be back in October. My guess is going to be Kevin Jennings from the Western Sizzlers. They'll be here to talk about their new album and our big date with them at the Star Bar on November the 5th. And the presidential debate will have already happened, so I'm sure we're going to touch on that, talk some sports and some other things going on in the music world. Al, thank you so much for being here. And like I always say, always love your woman. Take life as it comes. And when you get the chance, have too much fun. We'll see you next time.